Hi, I'm Brendan, and welcome to The Build-Up, the show about shows between the shows.
Up next, we've got Derrick Beckles to talk about mostly for Millennials. How many of you here are Millennials?
We got Millennials in the crowd. Okay, it's mostly everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, everybody knows about Millennials. They've killed a lot of things. Napkins, golf, top sheets, texting especially. That's right. They use a lot of abbreviations, man.
Seriously.
Too many abbreviations.
Abbreviations everywhere. Like, I can't even say a full word without a Millennial trying to get me and be like, hey, shorten that up.
They're trying to always do the abbreviations. So luckily, we created our own abbreviation game. It's time to update some of their abbreviation. Who wants to play the abbreviation game? Let's do it. Anybody want to come up on stage right now? Volunteers, come on up. Come on up. It's time for the abbreviation game.
It's a safe space. We won't touch you.
It's going to be really safe.
Yeah.
All right, we got two people coming up. All right, great. Yeah, come on up. You guys both can come up. So we are updating some millennial abbreviations. What is your name?
Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
Oh, you are a long way from home. Thank you for coming.
Originally from there.
Okay, great. So
No, you flew out for build-up.
you did not fly up.
No.
Wow, okay, not a real fan.
All of our fans fly in from Wisconsin.
Yeah, all of them.
All right, cool. So we're going to tell you some abbreviations. We're going to ask you what they mean, and then we're going to give you our version of them. Great. Okay, cool. First up, LOL. What does LOL mean?
Laugh out loud.
Okay, I think that was the original meaning, but you know, there is a new one on the streets. Can you guess what it is? No?
No.
All right, it's lost on land.
Like, wow, I am really LOLing right now. I'm in New Jersey. I'm lost on land.
Yeah.
Like, why am I in Staten Island? I am lost on land like crazy.
Which happens every night for you, Brendan. Every night I get a text from Brendan being like, LOL, against Staten Island, and I'm like, dude,
Once
stop
again,
going there.
I got on a boat in Staten Island.
Yeah.
I'm lost on land. All right. This one's a good one. BRB. What does BRB mean?
Be right back.
All right, you're a very traditional millennial, but you know, it has changed. Can you guess? Can you guess?
No, not at all.
Any guess? Just let's let your heart speak. In a second. No, okay. It's actually broken rib, baby. You know, after you do a quick taekwondo class, someone really fucks you up, and then you gotta be like, BRB,
I
Dad.
got BRB due to my taekwondo class.
Yeah.
All right. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Nancy.
Hey, Nancy. What's up? Where are you from?
Queens, baby.
All right, Queens. You are LOLing all the time.
All the time.
I lost this shit on land.
Word, yeah.
All right. So we got some abbreviations here. IRL. What does that mean?
What is in real life, right?
Yep.
Traditional
Originally,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Back in
Do
the
you-
80s, that's what I meant.
Do you know what the updated one is now?
I do not.
I'll take it. It is
Yeah.
I'm really lonely.
Yeah, and that's super relatable for millennials, right? We're all like, is there anyone I can speak to?
Or it's also iRobot later, which means like, hey, do you want to watch iRobot later?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. We got one more for you, and then we'll go
Yeah.
back. Oh, this is a really good one. GTN.
Ooh, yeah, do you know that one?
I have no idea
Everyone's
what that
using it these days. I get it probably 6 to 7 times a day. Someone says GTN.
Yeah. Okay.
Any guesses? How about you? Do you have a guess?
No idea what that is. No.
Do you, what starts with G?
Go.
Yeah.
When then it's T. Let's see.
Go to.
Great.
Go to Nebraska, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe that? Maybe. All right. No. What do you think it is, Brendan?
Well, actually, guys, GTN stands for Get Tested Now.
Yeah. Get tested now. Everybody here should get tested. Those couches.
GTN, leave the build-up and GTN yourselves.
Yeah, GTN yourself every single day. I get tested every morning. I have a cup of coffee and I get an STD test. Stay safe, people.
Shannon's apartment is actually a clinic. Okay, great.
It's a safe space.
All right, this is a really good one. TBH. What is TBH?
To be honest.
That was the old version. Any guesses what the new version of what TBH means?
No idea.
No? This is
Guys,
my favorite
TBH,
one. I
this
use
is
it
a
all
really
the
good one.
time. It's totally buttless here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know when you're like you go to the store, you're trying on clothing, it's so not flattering, and you're like, TBH, man, I'm totally, wait, no.
Yeah. I am totally buttless here.
Yeah,
Like, I got no butt.
yeah.
That's what this means. Great. Okay,
Because
cool.
life is hard without a butt. I don't know if you guys experienced it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard.
All right, let's do a couple more, and then we're going to give you a prize because you guys have been so good. Let's do, TBT.
Throwback Thursday?
Once again, that is the old version.
Yeah. What about you? What do you have a guess for TBT?
I have no idea.
No idea. No, that TBT, not no idea. That would be no. That'd be NI.
All right, I got it, guys. TBT, the new updated version is Trains Be Trainin'.
Don't you feel like trains are always training? I'm like, can you quit?
Like you're waiting for that A train and it's not there. You're like, classic Trains Be Trainin'.
Oh man.
I mean, no G train. Trains be training all day. Fuck.
Well, we should wrap this up right now.
Yeah.
Or, no, RN, right?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Let's do RN.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What does RN mean?
Right now.
That's once again the own version. It's
Yeah.
actually ramen noodles.
Ramen noodles, yeah.
Like I'm gonna RN right now. I'm gonna ramen noodle myself.
Yeah, I have some noodles in my back pocket if you want.
Oh, Shannon, you have a new one for FOMO, which I love so much.
Oh, yeah, FOMO. I've been using it all the time. Can you guess what it is?
FOMO.
No idea.
No idea. You love no idea. No idea. Man, you flew out for this show and you have
no idea.
Yeah.
We have a new one. It's NO.
Yeah.
No idea.
No idea. Yeah, so FOMO is farting out my organs, which is something I do also on the daily.
Yeah.
I got a kidney coming out right now. It's gonna toot out in any second. Anybody need a kidney? No?
I don't know if you guys have ever eaten a bunch of Chipotle and you're like, I'm total FOMOing right now.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Farting out my organs.
All right, you guys have been so great. We actually want to
Yes.
give you two mostly for millennial fans right now. Let's give a
Yeah.
prize. Give it up for them. They did so good.
Woo! Thank you so much.
Let's
Yeah,
get these
those
fans. These are traditional, mostly for millennial fans. It's
Yeah, look
real.
at that.
It's
That's
very
beautiful.
cool. You plug them into your computers, and don't forget, trains be training all day long. Thank you so
Wow.
much. Yeah.
She liked it. You couldn't hear, but she said, that's kind of awesome.
It is very awesome.
Yeah, which I think is the greatest review any product has ever gotten.
Oh shit, Shannon, we didn't do BTW. It actually would have been perfect for her.
Yeah, wait, BTW is, this is so sad. I'm so sad. What a missed opportunity. You know, it's not by the way, it's,
Better than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So
which is like, I would say after this show, she's gonna be like, BTW.
yeah,
This
totally.
show was better than Wisconsin.
This is totally BTW. All right, well, are you guys really excited for our next build up? It is mostly for millennials. Are you guys super excited? Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Woo! Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with us. It's been super fun. We got Derrick Beckles here for Mostly for Millennials. It's gonna be a really funny show. It's gonna be a great build. So don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Ricky Camilleri. Welcome to Build. For a time, maybe even still today, millennials were the coveted demographic brands and companies strived, like this brand, so desperately to capture and sell garbage to. From YouTube pranks to Vice's gonzo journalism, companies and personal brands built themselves up by pandering to the former tweens, teens, 20-somethings, and now me's, 35-year-old men with graying hair just desperate to make it all stop. Fortunately, we've finally gotten the show that properly skewers all of this trash that's been shoved down our throats for the last decade and a half with Mostly for Millennials, starring, written, and directed by comedian Derrick Beckles. Let's take a look.
Yo, it's Mostly for Millennials with my boy, your host, Derrick Beckles. What up, Bitcoins? HTTP!
Mostly for millennials.
And you said gentrification was bad. I feel woke right now. Mostly for Millennials, annoying. DJ Derrick, unfollow me, tweet breath. And Derrick's girl.
OMG.
You just got dragged. Something funny, tough guy? This is a weird show, boys.
Mostly for millennials, please.
That is Savage Nation.
I cannot get enough virtual reality.
Oh, I'm good.
You ever seen the mannequin challenge before? Can you handle diversity?
Thank you for your service.
What are you gonna do now?
This is exactly what's going through my mind. What am I going to do now?
Everybody, please welcome Derrick Beckles. There is a balcony. There's just two people on laptops up there. Are you a millennial?
Yes, of course I am.
Okay.
We all are.
You're
That's the great
just-
thing about the show is like there's no age distinction. So like Alexander Graham Bell is like a cool millennial dude.
Anyone that you want to sell to somebody is a millennial.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
yeah.
a selling point. At
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
How did this show come about?
I did a show called Totally for Teens, which kind of had the slightly same premise in that it was about like corporate desperation and me being like this ethically and morally corrupted host who kind of lorded over the kids, but also like had his own perception of like what kind of like morals you should teach people and everything. And everything was just kind of a left turn. Like it never made sense. So when I started working with Eric and I knew each other for a long time, Eric Andre, and so when we started writing his show and doing everything, in the back of our minds, we always wanted to go back to Totally for Teens as well.
Have you been a part of the Andre show since the early days?
Yeah,
since like the Bushwick days?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, yes. It's when he used to do his like live show. You mean like all that stuff?
Well, didn't the show kind of start in like a bodega in Bushwick?
Yeah, there was like an early like promo thing of like a bodega version of it, right. And then it evolved from that and just turned like just had more of like this like kind of disassociated set and darkness and just like it being in this black hole kind of thing. And
it's apparently incredibly hot all the time.
We do a lot of things with it where we do it's the same tactics we use even on Mostly for Millennials. Like when we have guests on, we basically torture them. So it's like an interrogation more than anything else. But it's great. It's like so we do all kinds of tricks to like make people kind of forget where they are and just kind of like feel like they are just in another place. Like we'll turn the heat up. Like in one show there was like a bunch of there's like a bucket of clams under the person's seat and they had no idea and they just kept smelling this like odor of just like rotting clams.
Was this in Mostly for Millennials?
This was like an Eric show, but in Mostly for Millennials we did like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make it onto the screen, a lot of stuff that I do in the show, but
they're usually sitting there on the show. The show is 11 minutes long, 12 minutes long per episode, and the guests are on for like 2 to 4 minutes at most, I feel like, and you probably shoot with them for what, 30 minutes at least?
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes. Yeah. We talk to them about everything, like in between, like I have like, it's like I had like a martini glass filled with like worms. They were like edible worms that people eat. So just like live worms that I'm just eating while I'm talking to people. So they're just
are they real worms?
Yeah.
What do worms taste
fully
like?
Committed. It just tastes like it's like if you get a cut and you lick your finger and it's just like, oh, that's a lot of iron. It's a lot of iron. So worms are just big sacks of iron.
How did
I drank my own urine out of a martini glass too, which is in the show. And drinking your urine's fine. It's good for you. So I suggest doing it right now.
The Tide Pod. I mean, I hope that's not too much of a spoiler.
No,
did you actually do that as well?
Yeah, and we did it like before the whole Tide Pod thing happened. Like I just thought it would be funny. They look like candy. Let's eat some Tide Pods. And then like a month and a half later, like when we were like editing the show, it blew up and people were eating Tide Pods and Eric and I were like, wait, what? We should have like started selling Tide Pods as candy. This is ridiculous. We should be like the ones. We want to be known for that. We want to be known for poisoning people.
What kind of guests do you mostly look for on Mostly for Millennials?
Anyone that will show up. That's like kind of one of the main prerequisites.
Do they know what the show is? Or I mean, at least I guess it's a new show. So had they known at all what the show was?
Not really. And we try not to let people know too much now that I'm telling everybody about what we do.
Do they meet you as your character, or you? Do they ever meet you?
No, I stay away from people. They meet me the first time when they come on stage.
Similar to the Eric Andre.
Yeah.
On his
By the way, everybody, this is like this is for promotional purposes only. This goatee. So I've turned my mouth into like a gated community. Like I put a wall around it.
I will say it doesn't look entirely like a goatee right now. You're like around it.
It's doing all kinds of things. Yeah. But I just want to make that clear because there's some people who have goatees. God bless them. But I'm not good at goatees. I don't speak goatee.
This character, would you call it whiteface?
No. I'm just like, I'm just a guy. I'm like a cross between Guy Fieri and Chris Brown. So
how Chris Brown?
I'm like, I try to summon the best / worst parts of them, minus anything horrific. Chris Brown's done some things that are interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't try and do those things.
The show doesn't go into those places.
Yeah. It's just like it's Guy Fieri. Like when we saw a picture of Guy Fieri and Chris Brown, and Eric and I were like, perfect. That's the look we want to go for. It's like, and it's just like,
oh yeah, that's how Chris Brown kind of dresses, right? Yeah.
When he comes out on the toilet on the
not the toilet, but I mean the jacket, like he's a little bit.
I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know if I can get inside of his mind.
I never would have thought of that if you hadn't have said that. And now that you said that, I'm probably just imagining that's what what it is. One of the things that I love about the show is that you skewer these kind of like YouTube pranks that that are around all the time, which are like totally heartless and they're not even pranks. They're just sort of like, hey, let's put $1 on the ground and see if this homeless guy tries to pick it up and then laugh at him when he does.
Yeah, let's feed a homeless guy a rotten burrito. Ah, you idiot. That food's gone bad.
And then there's
There's
also the moralizing ones, where they're immoral in their practice, but they try to have a lesson at the end all the time.
And then there's one where there's a guy he was like he was feeding the homeless. He was like, let's see what a homeless guy does with $100. And he gives it to the homeless guy, and it's like, oh, he went and bought food. And then he brings it back to a bunch of other homeless people, and he's like, oh my God, he's feeding his homeless friends with it. And then they have like this teary-eyed thing, and then they find out later that the guy just hired the homeless guy or whatever. And it was like all for him to get maximize his hits. And
that's the thing about, I don't want to use the phrase "this generation" because it's such the show kind of mocks
damn generation.
But I remember when Jackass came out, and I was in middle school or high school, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna go shoot ourselves doing dumb stuff."
Yeah,
and we did it, and then we just had this video for ourselves, and because we couldn't upload it anywhere, we didn't really do it again or take it further because we had done it and it was over.
Yeah.
Now that you can upload and get immediate satisfaction and gratification from the dumb thing that you did, you just keep doing it and you keep trying to maximize and do bigger things.
There's a reason why we all kind of look at stuff that we've committed to, like that we've documented, whether it's something we've written in a diary or that we've filmed or whatever the hell we've done, recorded in some way. And there's a lot to be said for not seeing it for a while and then going back to it years later and going "Gah," right? So now the middleman's been taken out and it's just immediate release. And I love it because it exposes exactly what people think is funny or what they do. If you're 13 and you do something, it's totally forgivable. When you're a grown ass adult and you're desperate for whatever. Anyways.
Great, because a lot of those YouTube pranks are grown men in their mid to late 20s who are walking up and are like, would you spit in this homeless guy's face for $5?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
See, I'd watch that. That sounds like a great show. Give that guy a sitcom.
That's kind of what Mostly for Millennials is.
Yeah. That's what it is.
The hellish experience, the most hellish version of those videos.
Yeah, it's it's desperate. It's corporate desperation. It is. We try to treat it like I'm kind of the head of my own little hermit kingdom. So the live audience is rabid. Anything I say or do, they want to do. I can incite them into a riot. But at the same time, there's moments where they're absolutely confused. And I'll string a bunch of analogies together to try and make some sort of moral statement or something. And my moral compass is just going haywire, and they're trying to follow and they can't follow it, and it turns into a mess.
And then you just scream, "Think about it," whether
and then
you make any
think
sense
about
at all.
it.
Yeah. But I love one of the aspects of your character is that his moral compass is all over the place, but the only time he ever shows emotion is when he has a means to exploit it. There's a reason.
Absolutely. There's something to sell.
Yeah.
It was there's an app that we sell in the show called Sad Star, and I come out and I shoot a kid in the audience, and then I immediately start crying, and then I start selling the app.
Well, you shoot him so you can cry.
So I can look at the camera, cry, and then the app has all kinds of things like a funeral veil and like a red nose and tears and things like that. So if you really want to pretend that you care, you can just like use this app. And I have a feeling it's going to be made, and I'm going to like regret not having been on the ground floor of it.
Yeah, you're not gonna regret that it gets made. You're just gonna regret
I'm gonna
that
regret
you're
that
not
I
gonna
make
get
money
some
on
of the
it.
money from
I'm
it.
a pig. I'm a pig. I'm a horrible person.
The DJ of the show is DJ Durst.
Yes.
Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit, which in and of itself in like 1999 was kind of what your show is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, he had like, I think, you know, not to speak for Fred, but it's like, yeah, I think it's just like you have like this massive fan base and everything, and then they just, if that's what you're referring to, they just kind of like, you can't control them. They misinterpret or do whatever the hell they want, and then next thing you know, you're a figurehead for a bunch of these people who you're just like, I don't know you, I don't get it. But he was great though. He was awesome to work with, and the way we wanted to play him was like not as like, oh, we have Fred Durst. It's just like it's another corporate desperately corporate thing to have like a DJ on set all the time. It's just like, let's have somebody skateboarding and we'll have a DJ and I don't know, somebody just on their laptop. God knows what they're doing, but that'll be great. And
you pull up that video.
Yeah, exactly. And so we had him on, and he's like, it looks like he's being held hostage, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Just like it's a guy who wants out of this. He's just like, we put a picture of his daughter. Like I just have like a picture of a little girl in a frame behind him, and he's always looking at it because he's just doing this for his daughter. It's just like,
how did you get him on the show? Was he a fan of the Eric Andre show, or?
Yeah, and he was familiar with stuff I had done before, and Eric, and he was, yeah. I told him what it was about and what the perspective was, and he was like super into it.
He's a director. He's like made movies. He actually
he's actually like, it's the last thing you'd expect to hear in association with his name, I suppose. But yeah, he's like an accomplished director. He's doing a movie with John Travolta right now.
That's right. That's right. I think I read that. Is he on set during like the interviews and with all the audience, or do you sort of shoot him separately? And
yeah, sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. Yeah, depending on who it is, we kind of like stack the deck differently.
Who of the people that you've interviewed do you think you freaked out the most this season?
We put them all through it. Steve Wilkos was not happy about a few things.
I love Steve. Can I tell you real briefly? Steve Wilkos, his show for a long time, I just loved it so much.
Oh, it's amazing. Like the way I interviewed him was like, all right, Steve, so you were in the Marines? You think that's cool? Thank you for your service. Like I was just screaming the interview into his face. As you can see, it's wonderful.
I saw his show when it first started, and I actually watched them find what the show was, which was simply he gets somebody on stage and he goes, "You're an animal. You don't get to sit here. Stand up." And then he takes their chair and he throws it and he goes, "You don't get to sit on my stage. You have to stand." And the guy's like, "Okay, I'll stand."
Make up your mind.
Yeah.
Please, Mr. Wilkos.
And they started doing that in every episode. He would take the chair from the pedophile or whoever it was that he had on stage that he found disturbing.
It's like live from Guantanamo Bay, Steve Wilkos. This is an interrogation. So I interrogated him for the interview, and we did a bunch of stuff. They all like hang around. We had Ann Coulter on, and I took her.
You had Ann Coulter on?
Mm-hmm. I took her on a date to the Glory Cafe, where all the food came through. All the food came through the wall like phallic food, and I was just like asking her questions and just the food spurting in my face and everything. And she wasn't sure why she was there anymore. She was trying to sell a book, and then she had to watch a guy have like phallic foods.
How did you book her?
Blast cream into his face. We asked her to be on.
And you were like, it's a show for millennials?
Essentially, yeah. She was a great sport, and now we're dating. We have 4 children. Don't talk about my wife that way, Dan. She was great. Had Mr. Wilkos, we had Snooki on. She was great. She was easy to.
She just kind of rolls with the punches.
She rolls with the punches, and she's like nothing. She was telling me, I was eating like what looked like diarrhea out of like a baby diaper while I was talking to her, like and dipping my chips into it and eating it. And she was just like, she's like, oh my God, that's disgusting. You know what I did the other day? I got my nail caught in my baby's shit, and then I was like, forgot it was in my nail because my nails are really long. And then I was just like eating something, and I was just like, oh my God, I just ate my baby's shit. And I was like, so then I was like, oh, you've just like outdone me by saying that. And then I was like, what did it taste like? She goes, and then she relives it. She goes, coppery. So
she is this person that you have these preformed judgments about based off of the Jersey Shore, and then you meet her and you're like, oh, you're hard not to love.
Yeah, you're hard not to love. You eat baby shit.
Yeah.
And you talk about it. You're proud of it. And when her kid grows up, I can go, I met your mother when you were just a baby, and I know that your shit tastes like copper. Something I know about you.
Weird thing to
See,
say,
that's
bro,
me when
but
I'm
okay.
older, talking to her kid when it's older.
And I want to go back to Ann Coulter, though, because did you talk to her at all about her politics?
Don't we all want to go back?
She wants to go back. She really wants to go back.
She doesn't want to go back.
Like 1943, Mississippi.
Remember when 1943 was one of the most fun years in American history? For who?
Exactly.
Let me take a look at some of those photos and let's see who's having fun. Yeah, she was interesting. I mean, the thing is, like, for the show, it's like there's no sacred cows, so it's just like anybody can come on, and we're just gonna make you live a nightmare. I don't know. What do you say, right? She's fascinating. People are like, I find like when people have like immersed themselves politically to such a degree, they've turned into WWF, old school WWF wrestlers. So it's just like, oh, you're Macho Man Randy Savage, and you cannot stop being Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah. Like if Macho Man Randy Savage came out with like a gold-frilled leather jacket and giant sunglasses and stuff, and he's like, so this is how you cook risotto. And he started like explaining it to you like normally. You'd be like, good. Where's the cokey guy who's screaming in my face all the time? So these people
go home tonight, gonna watch You've Got Mail with the Wife.
Yeah,
the kids are gonna be
you
there.
You don't want to
know
that.
Rolling.
So they have to keep it going. So I don't even like the lines are just so blurred. Right. But I mean, it's an interesting way to make money, like saying like horrific things constantly and inciting weird shit.
And then watching the country actually move in that direction, and you were just trying to sell a few books for a little while.
Hey guys, you enjoying this conversation? Everybody looks like they're on the train trying to go home. Just take me home, please. Comfortable train.
I always wonder when someone like that could potentially go, oh, whoa, sorry. But I think she actually does. I think she's a true believer, but.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's like this show where it's just like, this guy is like a true believer too. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I have no problem with anybody. Whatever's cool is cool, baby. Let's do it. Let's sell those units. Whatever the fuck it is.
Right. Like, and Coulter may have like a millennial audience as well, so you gotta like appeal. So you gotta appeal to them.
Yeah. And what if Ann wants to buy these shoes? Great. I'm selling them.
What's the weirdest gadget that he sells this season?
This
is trying to showcase.
Oh man. We have a product called C-SPAN Cool that I keep trying to sell, which is like this energy drink, but it makes C-SPAN look really cool when you drink it. And then there's we have a version of a popular soda company, but our soda is called diarrhea soda. Right. So we just did an ad for the show where I went to Harlem, and I wrote this bit that we wanted to do for the show, and then we ended up redoing it for a promo for the show. And I so we bought this coffin and we tricked it out with like all kinds of technology and like with a podcast microphone and all kinds of shit. And we took it to Harlem and had it on the street. And I'm trying to sell people. It's just like, do you guys want to remain relevant when you go to the after relevance? This thing's gonna help you do that, baby. It's got a selfie screen. It's got, like, when you close the lid, you can do updates. And there's a tombstone router. And people are like, and walking up and like believing it, and not only believing it, but like getting into the coffin and trying the coffin out. And it was so amazing because I was like selling this tricked out coffin, had speakers on the outside and everything. And I was selling it as like this new millennial coffin. And there was one woman, she was like, what the is going on here? And this other woman was like, I want to get in that. And she gets in and she's just like laying in the casket. And then we had like goggles that we put on her that had clips from the show, but then it ended with just a shot of like just a bunch of clips from the show and like me making out with this dude on the show. And that's when she ripped the glasses off and she was like, get me out of here, I'm going to hell. But she screamed that from a casket with a podcast mic and all kinds of like screens. It was pretty fantastic. So that was like something I was trying to sell on the show. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. What is it like? It seems like you and Andre share a very similar sensibility.
Yeah.
Was that something that did you guys know each other before you started working together, or when you started working together, you were like, wow, we're simpatico here?
We met on the F train, like we did like years ago, like 10 years ago, and we turned around, it's like because we were just like, huh?
Yeah, no, that's
and we knew of each other, and it was really funny. And we're just naturally occurring. We have like when we're together, people like they're like our voices are similar, our gesticulations are similar, our sense of humor, everything. It was kismet, baby. Like when we and there's like there's very little translation between us. Like when we tell jokes, it's just kind of telepathic. Mm-hmm. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, really easy. So like when we're writing scripts, we're just like it's just like being channeled through, and we're just like going crazy and just like making each other laugh and trying to outdo each other. So yeah, it's like. It's one. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's like it's legit. It's just like we're very similar dudes, like similar genetics, everything. Like I saw his parents, and I was like, oh, those are my parents. Like, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it. When I went into the green room to meet you for the first time, I was like, oh, this is what it was like when Eric was here. This is like
yeah.
Yeah.
There was shit on the wall. I was wearing a diaper. Had a urine IV.
He was just screaming outlandishly, banging his head against the wall.
Yeah.
Let's get some questions from who's got it right there. Hi.
Hi. I'm wondering what comedians or other shows on Adult Swim inspired you in your career in this show.
Golly, I mean, there's so much stuff. I love a lot of British comedy, like Peep Show and stuff like that. And then there's shows like John Benjamin Has a Van that's just genius. And my show Hot Package, I did it absolutely with Tim and Eric, and they wrote on the first season of it, and I love those guys. And when I used to do a compilation called TV Carnage, and that's how I got to know those guys. And I mean, Christy Caracas, Super Jail. Like, there's John Glazer, Delocated, like on Adult Swim. I think it's genius. And then, like, going back into going back to vaudeville. There's just like weird people that I think are amazing, that are just bizarre and kind of ahead of their time. Anyways, yeah.
The ones that kind of created a sort of chaos. Humor, rather than a sort of sticking to a very clear set, or like we're kind of mocking a lot of times the what would be the normal setups.
Yeah, and there was like I was reading a bunch about like the vaudeville scene and everything recently, just like how stuff evolved and like had to evolve and what people were allowed to do and what people weren't allowed to do and how like it was segregated and like blacks and whites couldn't tour together and it was like so these different comedy scenes kind of came out of things. So you ended up getting like Red Fox is like classic like black vaudeville type stuff.
Was he vaudeville? Was he technically?
No, he wasn't technically vaudeville, but he like his
grew out of
his humor. Like Richard Pryor grew up in a town that had like a lot of vaudeville theaters, and then he was like kind of an extension of that scene too. Anyways.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Two more questions. Next question.
Hi.
Hello.
Since your previous show was called Totally for Teens, and this is mostly for millennials, what would your if you would have a future show centered on Gen Z, what would that title be?
Gen Z. What would that title be? I don't know. I was thinking about doing a show called Significantly for Seniors. I don't know.
Can it still be this character, but yelling at yelling
like,
at elderly people?
Kind of like when Richard Simmons did his like Silver Foxes exercise videos. I don't know what I'd call Gen Z. Sorry. Ultimately for the unborn. I don't know.
One more question.
Hi.
Hello.
So,
They're gonna pull out a gun out of a paper bag. I hate you.
So you've worked with Adult Swim quite a bit. What is it about the Adult Swim platform that makes you keep on wanting to work with them?
I mean, there's something joyful about being able to do this kind of humor. And if you do it on another network, it would be, well, most likely would not be made. Like, I don't see this being on at 8 o'clock on NBC. And if Comedy Central did a version of this, it would be very different and probably not the version of it that I'd want to do. Like, it's just, it's like working for Adult Swim and, like, people like Mike Lazo and Keith Crawford and their notes are just like, more, just give me more, just make it crazier. And that's like the heavens opening up and speaking to you when you hear that. It's just like, okay, I will challenge myself. Like, they really want you to challenge yourself, so it's easy to go back to them in terms of creativity. Once they trust you, they leave you alone. Like, you just don't have those opportunities in many places. There's a lot of people who, a lot of executives at networks come in and they're like, hey, I took an improv class. I think I can handle this script. Let me do a polish on it. And you're like, God damn it, what are you doing? So
my humor's kind of blue. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, my humor's kind of. I used the word poop in one of the scripts. I hope you're cool with that. So yeah, they let me do whatever I want. They let Eric do whatever he wants. Sometimes we get in trouble for it. Like there's this stuff that we do where they're just like, are you kidding me? We are not doing that.
What have you gotten in trouble for?
Oh jeez.
Yeah, sorry.
We had to fight for a few things, and like, there's like, in one of the episodes, there's there's like an abortion band in one of the episodes that ends up playing at this like this huge festival.
Abortion band?
Yeah.
Okay.
It turns into an abortion band. It starts off over here and it ends up over here. And then there was, there's like a homeless guy. We call him homeless guy with perfect tits. And he has like beautiful breasts and
skateboards.
Yeah, and he skateboards. It's
Very
like
good skateboarder.
it's like lowest common denominator kind of like appealing. Like it's the kind of ads that we wish we could see. There's stuff that they definitely wouldn't let us do. I'm trying to think of one in particular. There's one that I honestly can't talk about because somebody got upset and they called their lawyers.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, there's a few of those.
Like someone on the street, like man on the street.
No, one of our guests. We didn't do anything horrible to them. We asked them to judge a particular event, and then it was an event that I Then the people came out and they had to judge the people, and they did not like what they had to judge.
I think we've one more question. Oh no, we're done. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I forgot. Derrick.
I was going to say July 1st is also Canada Day, which I know you guys are excited about as well.
Love Canada.
So, yeah.
I'm going to Canada.
Are you? That's
Yeah.
where I
Well,
was born.
I'm going on vacation in Canada.
My parents did
They had sex?
in Canada.
That's how you
Well,
came?
that's the rumor.
It wasn't like an insemination kind of situation?
Who fucking knows? But yeah, apparently they had sex in Canada, and then
Where in Canada? I mean, not
in
their
the
bedroom.
bum.
Like, no, let's pull out just a little bit in terms of where it was.
They had sex in Toronto, Canada.
I love Toronto.
Yeah, man.
It's a great city.
It's a great city, and the Grizzly man the Project Grizzly guy just died. I'm speaking Canadian right now.
Who's the Project Grizzly guy?
He's the guy who like wore a grizzly bear. He wanted to fight grizzly bears, and like just a bona fide batshit crazy Canadian. Like we're all just like nuts, and
Very nice.
very well. You have to be able to like ask your way out of mental institutions constantly in Canada, so you learn how to be polite. It's like, if it's all right with you, I would like to now leave. I will no longer see four people telling me. I'll no longer see talking dogs telling me to kill the prime minister.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Sorry, pardon me. I'd like to leave it. Can I leave
Pardon,
the robe?
pardon.
I've folded the robe and I've put it on the bed. Yeah, he was the guy who tried to like. He had like a grizzly. He wore this giant suit and he wanted to like fight grizzly bears. There's a documentary called Project Grizzly. If you want to know what Canadians are actually like, watch Project Grizzly. That is our dirty secret.
Did he die because he finally fought a grizzly bear, or did...
No, I think he just died of. I think he got
died.
Canada.
It's a terrible disease.
It's a terrible disease.
It afflicts every Canadian when they die.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Terrible
disease. They're trying to get a hold of it. Apparently, it affects you. Once you're born, you have. If you're born in Canada, you have it, and then you.
You get it when you're born, and then it really comes out when you die.
Yeah.
Canada needs their own Peter Thiel to find a cure for this disease.
You guys know anyone who can help cure Canadian death? We would appreciate that.
Derrick, Mostly for Millennials premieres this Sunday at midnight on Adult Swim, July 1st, right?
Yes.
It's very funny. It's great. I love
Thank
it. Derrick
you.
Beckles, everybody. Let's hear it.
You can also see more of my beautiful buttocks on the show.